Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. George here from APG. I'm joined with my good friend Griffin from Vision Creative Co. What's up, man?
Yo.
All right, so we just want to do a quick video, about the evolution of our relationship. You guys have seen us working together now for just over a year. Griffin hit me up about a year and a half ago and he was like, hey man, I love Broncos. I love everything you guys are doing. Yep. I want to come film. I want to come watch you do some wild stuff with a Bronco. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, right on, man. He shows up with his Bronco, was this Bronco, before it was this Bronco.
Stock version.
Another one of his guys had a Ford Ranger and it was like, oh man, that's us, that's our past, that's our history. This is gonna work well.
So when I first met George, I had a stock Bronco Sasquatch, which was already like way more car than I had ever been used to. Before that, I hadn't had an off-road performance car at all, or any version of an off-road car, I should say. And so like meeting George, my car was like, it was already a lot for me, but it felt like he was on another level. I saw like the Bronco on 40s and Dana 60s and the wide body. I was like, that thing's crazy. So that's why I want to reach out to him. Obviously we hit it off right away and we were able to create some really awesome content, getting tons of views and lots of support from everybody online, which has been really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also from there, so naturally I start hitting George up, hey, like, how can we upgrade my Bronco to kind of fit the needs of what we're doing in terms of like shooting off-road content for people with specifically for video. So some of the things we were looking for in the very beginning were just basically better ride quality. Like how do we smooth out the ride quality, get rid of some of the chatter off-road, and that kind of led us into the MidRunner.
The whole evolution.
The evolution, really, yeah.
I think like for me, I get the calls daily, right? I talk to some of you guys out there and I do my best to try to build some sort of a personal relationship so we can get to know you, the driver. What are you using the car for? And talking to people and say, okay, how fast are you driving? Where are you driving? What are you using this car for? If you want to build something that's just awesome, you're not really going to use it, cool. But where it matters is spending the time to understand the use of the car. So getting straight to that. When you first met us, I remember you had a front mount system on your bumper and a rear mount system on the back bumper. And it was great. You were chasing, you were being chased, you're having fun, but the stock suspension, it's great out of the factory, but you had a purpose for this car. So he gave me my first challenge, which we're gonna get into the many challenges, was like, hey, how do I make this suspension just operate a bit better? I want it to drive better on road and I want it to absorb more of the elements in an off-road environment. So you started with the MidRunner suspension system, right?
Yeah. So like when I first got the Bronco, obviously it had like 35s and Bilstein shocks. I'm like, perfect, I don't need to touch it. I don't need to modify this thing.
Sure.
And it was like, it was.
We don't modify our cars, do we?
Exactly. But like from the factory it was already really good, but like what I really wanted was just like tunability, basically where I could adjust the suspension to be softer when we're going off-road, because like what we're looking for wasn't necessarily to go bomb the whoop section at 60 miles an hour, which like it's cool and it's fun to watch on Instagram and stuff. But like for me and my work, I just wanted to be able to like drive on forest roads and get rid of all the chatter, basically.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's the thing about off-road though. It's where you think one setup will do, it's really difficult to forecast the future.
Right.
So that's why we try to really think about the multi-year plan. But MidRunner's great. I'll never want to discount like a mid-travel suspension upgrade, but looking at the performance numbers, you're going from about OEM wheel travel like a Sasquatch with those Bilsteins. You're going from like, I don't know, 9 inches of wheel travel, 9.5 or so. MidRunner takes you to about 11.5 inches of usable wheel travel. So a couple inches more wheel travel, but the adjustability of the shock system and that controlled dampening, adjustable spring rates, selectable ride height, that's a huge jump over stock. But it's got its limitations when you get into the high speed performance. And you, my friend, grew out of that.
Yes. Yeah. Really what it was we had a job with a company called Polaris. They obviously, everybody knows Polaris, they do side-by-sides. But
small company.
Yeah, we're having to keep up with this side-by-side, which obviously side-by-sides have a lot more wheel travel than like standard cars. And
functionality,
exactly.
They're for utility use, can't drive them on the road.
Exactly. And so what we did at the time was we upgraded to a motor crane. So it's this big arm. And what we found is like trying to keep up with the side-by-side, it could do it on the forest roads, but if we're hitting the bigger hits and the bigger undulations, we ran out of wheel travel pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like why I came to George with my next request.
I get the call. George, I need more wheel travel. I think it's time for long travel. I told you so.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, mid-travel, amazing performance suspension system. It's not like gonna break the bank either. But if you really want that next jump in wheel travel, but you're not quite ready for ProRunner and the commitment that's involved, in come our front and rear standard long travel, similar to what you see on from other vendors out there. But we are one of the only companies to offer a front and rear true long travel system. So pulled off the MidRunner suspension system, great value on that because you didn't. The whole system wasn't a waste. Yeah. We were able to reuse his front shocks, so you didn't have to rebuy those. Yep. Just kind of got them resprung, revalved.
And for someone that doesn't understand like the resprung and revalved, I didn't, to be honest. I'm like, is that like 10 grand for like a respring and like I don't even know what that is. It's like $200. It's like not a big deal.
We're literally changing out the coil springs and adjusting the internal valve stacks for the added leverage and the added, the increased wheel travel and just small changes. It takes a couple of hours.
The simple version is you get to reuse your front shocks, and like I'd already paid for those. And so since like we already got that, it's like, okay, then like, you do the rear, and it's not like the cheapest stuff in the world for sure. But the performance gain was like, I remember going to the desert for the first time, and you always come up to those like big hits, you're like jamming, you're like, oh dude, I need to hit the brakes. I'm like, I'm just gonna run it. Boom, and it's just like, like the car just like eats it. I'm like, what? Like
it's forgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
It's forgiving. It lets those oops moments sound actually more like oh, maybe that's how whoops was invented. Somebody went to say oops, and then we turn it to whoops. But I'll say this: our front and rear long travel suspension system, it's got incredible performance. It is a slightly compromised version of ProRunner. Right? You're reusing your front and rear axles, your CV joints, original shock towers up in the front. But you've got great performance numbers. We're getting about 15 and a half inches of front wheel travel and about 16 inches of rear wheel travel on the standard long travel. And it's utilizing 2.5 series performance shocks all around rather than the big old massive race grade 3.0s that you guys see in ProRunner. So it's half the cost, but unbelievable advantage over a mid travel. It's close to ProRunner, but we just got to keep that tire size smaller. The built-in, the OEM front and rear axles and drivetrain on this thing simply can't handle a 40. So as long as you're nominal in your tire size and you're cool with the performance specifications that is called out on our long travel technical data sheet kind of loaded online on the website, maybe long travel's for you. So talk to me a little bit about what did you notice when you went to long travel?
So like with the long travel, it was a couple things. Like one, like I mentioned, was like we could just take everything a lot faster and it was a lot more forgiving. Then the second thing that George probably hated me for, but you can really, again, you can dial in your spring rates, front and rear, for that extra weight. So like in our case, we're running with 4 guys in here. We're also running with this motor crane. So like I came to him like, hey, we have an extra 1,400 pounds. So like don't.
That's it, just 1,400. Exactly.
So like, or whatever my door sticker says, 987 or whatever. It's only 987. So the big thing for me though was basically getting it dialed for like how we want to run the car with the motor crane on top because of all the extra weight. I needed it to perform for our work because that's how I make my living, and I wanted to be like best of the best for that. And what I noticed was also a lot of our jobs were evolving at that time too. We were working with lots of different off-road companies, and so like we are pushing it a little harder. We are getting more comfortable, and I was getting more comfortable as a driver. And the suspension, it's just always like, it's always there for me. Like, whereas with the MidRunner, I did find myself a few times like, you take something too fast and like, boom, you hit it really hard.
You ran out.
And it's, you think like, oh my gosh, am I gonna break something? With the long travel, it's so much more suspension. So those moments where if you do make a mistake and take something a little too fast, it's a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, I think that kind of tees up nicely. I'm thinking about the last several calls I had. It's like, hey, APG, I want to build. I see your big ProRunner builds; they're amazing. But like, I'm trying to build an overland setup, or like some sort of expedition adventure car. What you're saying is you want to off-road, so whatever your off-road environment is, but you want to have a tremendous amount of weight on board. Where if you have an OEM suspension configuration, that this is what you get. You can't really change anything. Each of our suspension systems are highly modular. MidRunner, long travel, and ProRunner. But you going to your long travel setup with what you said, over 1,000 pounds of cargo and people and weight, and you having such sensitive drive performance, I can't think of an overlanding or adventure car situation that would be more complex than Griffin's demands,
yes,
polite demands,
yes,
for how he wanted the car to perform. So if you've got, camping equipment, rooftop tents, expedition equipment, storage racks, whatever your adventure may be, if we were able to accomplish it to perfection for him, imagine what we can do for your expedition car. And it doesn't need to be full pro runner. It can be long travel. It can be mid-runner. There's things that we can do to spec this performance of your shock system and your suspension system to perform for your intended use of the car, whatever it may be. And you can really only do that with a highly adjustable suspension system. Right. This is how and why we built the car so adjustable. Everything, for all the control arms and links, everything is double adjustable. You can pick your ride height, your spring settings, your weight distribution, your sway bars. You can align everything on the car so you have your own expected ride height. It's like we were really thinking about this. So in the future, everybody's like build changes. You went from mid-travel to long travel because that's the nature of off-road.
I went from thinking stock was more than enough to mid-travel to long travel.
But that was me too. I was the exact same way.
Yeah.
I thought I knew what I wanted and I kind of got into it.
Right.
I was like, no, I want to go faster. That was my start of off-road. I wanted to go faster. I wanted to go harder trails. And I learned how to drive and I just needed more car. As I advanced, I started to do tougher trails, tougher lines. I wanted to go faster and I needed more car. So like, how do you forecast that though, right? How do you know how hard you're gonna push yourself? 9 times out of 10, people who go mid-travel, go long travel. Right. That's just how it works. Ask anybody. No one's ever said, I wish I went with a lower performing suspension system.
Right.
So it's about budget, long-term planning, and we understand that. So that's why we've got those tiered options for you.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, like, if I could, like, I'd just be like, here's my car, let's do Pro Runner. But like, that wasn't really how things worked for me. You guys seen that Kevin Hart thing? Like the way my checking my savings is set up. But yeah, like I basically, I budgeted for the mid-travel and then eventually you do the long travel. And then eventually when you want to make it look a little nicer, to do the body system. Yeah,
this is the thing is you don't need to do any of these things at the same time. The second you tell APG, hey, I want 40s, you need it all. Just guys, you need it all. You need the 60 series axles, you need the body system. It's just the nature of, a massive, massive piece of rubber right there. But so he's on 37s. We were on mid-runner, then went to long travel, but he kept his original body system for a short period of time, right? It was just something that's important is you don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it looked a little funny. He has tires sticking a foot out past the body, but mechanically he had all the advantages.
Yeah.
But
that was the important part for me though, was like, I needed the car to basically perform for my work.
Yeah.
But, it's like eventually after a little bit of time, the extra clearance, the part that I really liked about the body system, I love how it looks really cool. But to me, what I really love is the clearance because it's like, again, like this is like, most people's work cars are like a F-150 with no CD player, like the XL series, like you got the manual windows and stuff.
Do they still make CD players?
I don't know, whatever. But like this is my work car for me. This is like my work truck, so to speak. And so like that's why like the look of the body system wasn't like the very most important thing, but the functionality of the extra clearance for where I get full cycle front and rear without having to like put the bumps way down and limit wheel travel. That was really important for me. Yeah. The fact that it's carbon fiber and it looks really awesome, that's like a cherry on top. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so, I suppose the point that I was trying to deliver was like you can kind of build in stages, right? That's important. And obviously, I believe we're the only body manufacturer for the U725 Ford Bronco that actually increases wheel envelope clearance for tire size.
Yeah.
It is a comprehensive body system. Some people want to start with just the front, right? And then they kind of move their way to the back. But just kind of talking about this setup, this is a true 37 Mickey Thompson off-road, MT tire. But it's got a 0 offset wheel. He's got full range of motion in this body system with a few inches to spare now. And if you kind of take a look at the rear fender, just where we happen to be teed up on the camera, look how much movement he has until it hits. I see a lot of wide body kits out there or body kits out there that they're not designed in parallel with their suspension system. They may be for looks and you're struggling, you're rubbing, you're hitting. This body system is supposed to please the eye aesthetically and also run its performance value, right? It's gonna cover the tire based on your intended flare use. It's gonna give you that tire coverage. You know, it's gonna allow full range of motion inside of the body system, and my God, it looks beautiful. All those things, and that's what you want out of your performance body system. Now, you guys will see here, for Mr. Griffin here, we've outfitted it with a bit of a flare delete, right? This is not our 1.3 or R5. This is just a piece of sheet metal that gets, you know, bolted from the backside to some standoff studs, and it's just giving this beautiful transition. And we haven't put these into production yet. This is more of a prototype that I wanted to run. These flare deletes sit completely flush with the side of this plane of the body, but it gives you no increased tire coverage, but full range of motion. I think it looks great. I love it. I may put these into production, but you know, of course, if you want more tire coverage, you guys have seen the videos, the 1 inch, the 3 inch, or the 5 inch, based on how much tire coverage you want. So I like how it all came out. What do you think?
I just love it. I couldn't be more pumped. Like it's been really fun. Like actually for me, I've really liked upgrading in stages because it's been like the evolution of the car, I think matches the evolution of like my comfortability driving off-road too. Yeah. And so yeah, just overall now I feel like when I stand back and I look at the car, it's like, dang man, I can't believe that's my Bronco. It looks so cool. Yeah, so
it's wider. Yeah, man, heck yeah, you kidding me, dude? Let's go have some more fun. Anyhow, so there's like a lot more to, you know, coming up with a build that's exact to you or exact to your lifestyle or your intended use of the car. And I think the ultimate message that I want to convey on this video is like, we are highly approachable. Call us, give us an email, let us help, you know, talk you through all your build goals. Let us talk you through what matters. Let us help build you the best Ford Bronco around town, right? There's tons of options for tons of different budgets. MidRunner, long travel, pro runner, just a bit of a carbon flare onto your OEM body system or the full wide body. We have just tons of recommendations for, and not just recommendations, but we'll give you the pros and cons for each of those decisions based on what you want to use the car for. I listen, we listen, so give us a call.
And also check us out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Vision Creative Co on Instagram. Obviously we work together, so I'm sure you guys have seen APG Off-Road.
I gotta say, Griffin, a year ago you asked for me to give you a testimonial.
Yeah.
I didn't forget about that.
Okay.
I'm gonna give the testimonial right here. Griffin and Vision Creative Co has helped highlight APG in all of its glory. And I truly thank you for that. I have never met or worked with a marketing company that is as professional and as experienced and who has helped shine a light on a company more than you have. And I sincerely appreciate you. I have full gratitude. I'm super, super excited. I'm just so excited to get out and do the next desert run or mountain run. Just at Johnson Valley and Big Bear, we got Rubicon coming up, we got Moab. You guys are gonna see APG on the trail a lot more now. My babies have grown up, so you're gonna see me out there. But I just want to say thank you for everything, brother.
Thank you, man.
Right
Appreciate
on, man.
that, George.
That's that testimonial that I wanted to give you.
Man.
I don't want to type it, you know. I want to give it to you real life out there. Anyhow, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning into the video. It's been fun. I think we should do some more fun ones like this. Just chatting around a couple cool cars, some now cold coffee. But anyhow, we appreciate the guys. If you guys enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.